Africa's pyramids are certainly a sight to see. It's hard to overstate its majesty and brilliance. Pharaoh Khufu and others undoubtedly wanted the world to notice. Interestingly enough, according to one source, a 15th century African king not only noticed, but was inspired by what the pyramids represented. And just as the pharaohs were remembered for their structures, so too did he want to be remembered on the other side of the Sahara. What up, African world? It's Homesy Mayor, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and contributing to this content. The link to Patreon is in the description box below. Also, stay tuned with a word from my sponsors.
Hello, my name is Howard Dorsey. I'm 54 years old. I'm here to talk about my experience with herbal results. I was getting sick, so I went to the doctor. They told me that my blood pressure was high, my cholesterol was borderline or high, so I was very sick. Sometimes I thought I was dying at some point. And I ordered a bottle of olive leaf extract. This is how the bottle comes in. And within the first probably week and a half, 2 weeks, I checked my blood pressure and it was back down to normal. It was like 120/80. My cholesterol went down to 125. I definitely believe that olive leaf extract from Herbal Results saved my life. And that's real. I recommend it to everyone in my family, my friends, and we've seen a lot of results in that manner as well.
Purchase now at herbalresults.net.
Many African Muslims passing through Egypt on their way to Mecca would have seen the ancient Great Pyramid of Giza. It's easy to imagine that they scheduled to visit the site and marvel at its size. There were several African kings from empires centered in West Africa who visited Egypt and saw the Great Pyramid. We know of the most popular African king who did so, Mansa Musa. His stop in Egypt was the most noticeable of all. However, another great West African ruler from the Songhai Empire, a state that conquered large parts of Mali, also made his journey to Egypt on his way to Mecca. His name was Askia Muhammad, and some consider him to be the greatest ruler of the Songhai state. There is no wonder why any ruler would look on the Great Pyramid with admiration. It's one of Africa's greatest accomplishments. African architecture, of course, has not been limited to houses even in ancient times. The Egyptians were among the most famous architects and builders in human history, and their works remain marvels. The Great Pyramid at Giza, for example, was the very first of the 7 wonders of the ancient world to be constructed. Built as a tomb for the great King Khufu, the pyramid is awe-inspiring in size. The Great Pyramid of Giza also is one of the largest structures ever built. In its original form, it was large enough to simultaneously hold within its walls St. Paul's Cathedral, St. Peter's in Rome, the cathedrals of Milan and Florence, and Westminster Abbey. Askia Muhammad Toure was the founder of the Askia dynasty of the Songhai Empire in 1493. He was the former general of the ruler who founded the Songhai state to begin with, Sani Ali. Askia Muhammad was a conqueror king, one of the greatest in Africa. He expanded Songhai territory, some sources claiming his rule extended all the way to the Atlantic Ocean in the west. He strengthened the administration of the empire and consolidated his rule. Askia Muhammad was considered great, not just because of his wars of conquest, but because of his administrative acumen. Muslim writers are more favorable to Askia Muhammad Toure because of his dedication to Islam. Under his rule, the Songhai Empire became more involved with Islamic religious precepts, and it began to be promoted heavily. Unlike his predecessor, Muhammad Toure recognized the importance of Islam as an important ideology for purposes of state formation and development. He used Islam to reinforce his authority, unite his far-flung empire, and promote trade. Soon after his accession, Toure displayed his concern for the faith by going on a pilgrimage to Mecca. While in Cairo, he persuaded the Caliph of Egypt to recognize him as a caliph of the whole Sudan. Askia Mohammed Toure was seemingly big on legacy. He did everything he could to ensure that Songhai became bigger, more wealthy, and took on higher esteem in the eyes of the world, with himself at the center. These historical indicators evince his likely admiration of Khufu's pyramid. Reading in between the lines of history, we can reasonably conclude that upon his arrival in Egypt, Askia Mohammed gazed at Khufu's pyramid, the largest of them all. While sitting along the Nile, he received Khufu's message with clarity and apparently sought to project the same. According to Christopher Wise, who wrote the introduction to a modern translation of the Tariq al-Fatash, Askia Mohammed greatly admired Egypt's pyramids. The tomb of the Askia Mohammed was built in the shape of an Egyptian pyramid. The Askia got the idea while traveling through Egypt on his Hajj to Mecca. At Giza on the Nile, he made up his mind to build a lasting monument for his own burial, worthy of the pharaohs of old. The body of the Askia Mohammed lies entombed in a mud grave without any doors. He is the only Askia to be honored in this way. So according to this source, Askia Mohammed made it a point to build a lasting pyramid-like monument to express his power and buttress his legacy. To Christopher Wise's point, he is the only Songhai ruler with this type of structure. If his analysis is indeed correct concerning Askia Mohammed's motivation, it's really interesting to see the impression Egypt's pyramids had on the West African king, and how he decided to model his own burial after ancient African rulers. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.